Are you in search of a pharmacy for all your medical needs? Check out my guy Jason Hu's Skylands Pharmacy and Compounding, located at 337 US 46 Rockaway, New Jersey, zip code 07866, serving all of New York and New Jersey. They specialize in compounding sildenafil for male erectile dysfunction, as well as semaglutide and tirzepatide for weight loss. They come to you with an amazing delivery service, so don't worry about having to come in person. Once again, check out Skylands Pharmacy and Compounding in Rockaway, New Jersey by my guy Jason Hu was the first guy to buy my merch. You can call them at 973-559-7979. That's 973-559-7979. Proud partner of the DJ Sports Show on WRCR 1700 AM and WRCR.com. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's your host, DJ Hamilton of DJ Sports Show here on WRCR 1700 AM radio here in Garnerville, New York, on this beautiful, warm Saturday fall day. How you doing today, Matt?
I'm doing great. How about yourself there, DJ?
Oh, I'm doing good. I know Will's out doing this thing, acting lately, right?
Yeah, he's making the big time right now.
Hey, Will's living the dream right now. Will's doing his thing, doing what he loves, so he's going to be out for a little while. Matt's going to be in for him as the engineer, and I know Matt's got our back today for the next month. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we got a loaded show here for you guys today. We talk some football. Jets firing Robert Saleh. I know Matt has some thoughts on that.
Oh, boy, just a lot.
I'm going to give my thoughts on the NBA GM survey. That's my favorite sport, and league is about to be starting up in the next 10 days. And then talk a little bit of baseball, Padres and Dodgers, as the Dodgers advance to the National League Championship Series. So first things first, to get to the New York Jets. So on Tuesday, the Jets fired the head coach Robert Saleh after a 2-3 start to the season, after failing to come up with a victory against the Minnesota Vikings, falling 23-13 in London. Now, when you're a head coach of a team and you're an owner, you know you want to win at the highest level. And to say, for example, like you're hiring a top chef for a restaurant, right? And you don't give them the personnel needed to be successful to have at the restaurant. A top chef is someone you expect to be a top cook, but they can't do everything themselves. They can't take the orders. They can't order the inventory, and they can't clean the tables all by themselves. You need a team around you. It takes a successful team to have a successful business. And to fire Saleh, who I know he wasn't successful during his tenure with the team, 20-36 during his tenure. They never made the playoffs since he was hired in 2021. And when he was hired, he did promise Super Bowls. I know that didn't turn out like how he wanted to, but they didn't give him the personnel to be successful. The 6 quarterbacks he had during his tenure, and there was a lot of instability at the quarterback position, which is considered the most important position in all of sports.
Yeah, you're kind of like the right-hand man of the ship, basically. If you were to describe a football team as like you're running like a ship, or like a pirate ship or something like that, or a cruise ship, you know, the coach is obviously going to be the captain, but the few right-hand people on your side is obviously the quarterback, besides like the defensive and the offensive coach. So yeah, no, I understand that. And then, but in order to have that good crew, to be a good captain, you need to have also the good crew along with you as well.
Exactly. And then one thing I saw too is like during he has 6 different quarterbacks he had during his 3 seasons there. You want me to name the list? Not a very good list. It's 2021, Zach Wilson, number 2 pick in 2021. He turned out to be a massive bust, and maybe that came back to bite him because he didn't pan out. If he would have panned out, be a franchise quarterback, Saleh probably still has his job, and the Jets will probably be a better organization. Mike White, I don't know who that is. Joe Flacco, solid QB. He did win a Super Bowl during his time with the Ravens, but with that dysfunctional franchise, not a great offensive line, they weren't winning any games. Trevor Siemian and Tim Boyle, and then you get a Aaron Rodgers, who I know he was past his prime. He's not the MVP level Rodgers like he was during his Packer days, so he never really had much to work with. And a head coach, you are who your players are. I know they always had a solid defense. Their defense was always good throughout his tenure with the team. They always were amongst the top half of the league or amongst the best. So the defense was never the problem. It's just the offense. They were always near the bottom offensively, scoring-wise, rushing yards-wise, passing yards. Every single year he was there. And it's testament to the lack of elite quarterback play and a struggling offensive line, just like we see this season.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, and again, I haven't seen too much of the team for the season other than a couple of highlights.
Yeah,
I would say the offense is much stronger. I would say I could agree or disagree with me to anyone that is listening, but I think honestly, the offensive line is slightly stronger than the defense is for the Jets. So that was one thing I noticed that they needed to improve on. for the future of this season and going forward.
Oh, you think their defense? Because their defense is one of their strong points. Their offensive line is actually one of their weak points.
Really?
Yeah, one of the weaker points. Yeah, and one thing about the Jets too. So they fired Saleh, like we said before. Nathaniel Hackett, who was Rodgers' right-hand man back there in his Packer days, who he brought on as the offensive one. They wanted to do the offensive play calling. He got stripped of his play calling duties. He will no longer be calling offensive plays. They have given that position now to Todd Downing, who will be making the offensive plays and calling the shots offensively. And then the interim head coach would be Jeff Albrecht, who was the defensive coordinator. Now, they don't know who's going to be the coach. There's been names such as Ben Johnson, who's offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. He has helped the Lions formulate a top 5 offense during his tenure there. And he kind of wants to stay with the team because he wants to help them win the Super Bowl. So you have that name. There's Mike Vrabel. He's out there in the conversation. Albrecht, he's in the conversation too. If he does good in his interim stint with the team, they might give him the head coaching position. And what the Jets did wrong, though, that I didn't like, Woody Johnson, the owner, he went in that day, I think the Tuesday, that day, caught Saleh blindsided and said, hey, we're letting you go, man. Like, he didn't warn him, nothing. I mean, there was a slight warning.
I mean, he caught all of us by surprise.
Yeah, he caught everybody. No, nobody saw this coming. Nobody.
Yeah, because it's like, why would you fire your head coach in the middle of an NFL season? I can understand maybe near the end when your team's not doing what you expect them to be, like they did with Rex Ryan many years ago. But, like, still, it's just really surprising. And a lot of people, including myself, are very confused as to like what led to his firing. Was it anything personal? What a lot of people have accused Aaron Rodgers to some extent, even though he has denied that himself.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of like confusion among his firing in and of itself. So, and I think it's explained better. It's like a new reset for the team, and it's already going to be somewhat of a struggle now, trying to get used to this new style that the coaches are going to be in at this point. Yeah.
So tensions kind of rose after they lost to the Denver Broncos 10-9 in Week 4. I was like, you lose to the Broncos? They have a rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, and they struggle offensively. Their offense, and they lost to that team. So that was kind of like, a warning sign. Like, Saleh, your job. He kind of knew his job was on the line, but they didn't directly tell him that. And then he lose to the Vikings, who the Vikings, don't get me wrong, they're
solid.
Yeah, they're them and the Chiefs are the only undefeated teams left right now going through into Week 6. So not like you lost to a bum team in the Vikings. I think this Saleh kind of dirty. Yes, he didn't start off great, but let's be real. This is the first real team he actually has with talent and on both ends of the field. Like last year, you had Aaron Rodgers. The New York Jets. He comes into the 2023 offseason. They signed this guy. Like, he's been a 4-time MVP, Super Bowl champion, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. The city's elated, excited to get this season going, think we could be Super Bowl champions. And he gets hurt within the first drive in the 4th play, tears his Achilles, out for the season. What's he got to work with now? And I know people want to blame the turf and the offensive line's not great, but this is the first full season he actually has a chance to actually turn things around. You only give him 5 weeks into the season. You don't even give him at least into Week 11, Week 12, more into the season, see how things could change.
Yeah, even like the NFL themselves, they did like a whole predictions. They predicted the Jets would actually have a solid like record, like 12-4.
Yep.
And even then, it's like, it's 2-3, but they still have a chance to bounce back as a team.
Exactly. Week 5 is too early. Like, there's still like 3 months left in the season.
Yeah, like we haven't even had the full picture of what the playoffs are going to be. Like by week 8 or 9, possibly, but like, still like. We just made it into this new season, and now we're starting to see some of the strengths and the weaknesses of this team.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, just like you're already going too crazy about, let's change this, let's change that. That's one of the kind of the criticisms that I've personally seen if you watch this team play, is a lot to do with management and decision making in terms of the placement of to some degree over the years of the Jets. And I'm not talking about this season as well, but just over the years as well.
I know you told me before the show you're a Jets fan. Yeah.
I grew up a Jets fan. My dad grew up as a Jets fan.
I know that got to be painful for you guys.
Hey, man, you got to be strong. You got to keep it in there.
You guys been through a lot of misery, a lot of pain. I know a lot of trauma. Oh man, but yeah. So and one thing that really shocked me is they escorted the guy out the building like he was some criminal.
What they did?
Yeah, if you've seen on Instagram, they escorted Robert Saleh out the building when the day he got fired, like he was some criminal.
What?
I was like, what? I was like, nah. And the way he came, like he made I don't know exactly his statement, but he made a really like mature statement. He didn't degrade the team or anything. He thanked the franchise. He thanked for the opportunity for being the head coach, and he wished him the best of luck. Like, man, they escorted this guy out like he was a criminal. I was like, this franchise, this is why nobody wants to work for this franchise or play for this franchise. How you going to treat your head coach like that, man?
Yeah, no, that's, oh my, I mean, I'm just finding this out right now. That's,
it's ludicrous, man. I was
told
stunned.
you, it's something to do with management from this team.
And that's why Bill Belichick, he stated why he never wanted to coach the Jets. Because remember, I looked it up yesterday.
He was a coach before he was at the Pats. Yes, I know.
Yeah, remember in 2000, he signed to be a head coach for the Jets, but then he quickly said, nope, I don't want to be with the Jets. He signed on a napkin saying, hey, I resign. I don't want to be with the Jets. And he left it there, and he said, I'm going to the Patriots. And that turned out pretty great because he ended up with Tom Brady, and they formed that dynasty. so that turned out pretty good. We
know how that ended.
Yeah, it turned out pretty good. So it turned out pretty good for the Patriots and Bill Belichick because the Jets organization just don't know what they're doing. Too much dysfunctionality. And it's kind of toxic, honestly.
I mean, from the way how you described it, yes. Like, and a
lot of the players have called out like the organization. Like, people need to start taking accountability. They're tired of hearing the same BS every single year. And even Sauce Gardner, who's the cornerback of the team, he's one of the best corners in the league. He was even shocked. He said, "But how does this look on Aaron Rodgers? So you're the quarterback of the team. You took a Egypt vacay during mandatory minicamp during the offseason before the season. When you're the quarterback of the team, you're an extension of the head coach." You want to be there to form that chemistry, that cohesiveness with your teammates, with your offensive line. Get things clicking with your wide receivers, where they like the ball, where they want their passes, how they like the ball placement. That's why you need to be there at mandatory minicamp to form that chemistry so you can get the offensive going. Because your defense is not the problem. It's your offense. And you not showing up during the mandatory minicamp is showing this early in this part of the season. Because if you guys would have built that chemistry early on when the games didn't count, now you're trying to build it on in the early part of the season when the games really do count, and now you have to make up for these lost games when you're losing early in the season. It's going to be hard to make it up later in the season. So it does not look good for Aaron Rodgers and their offense. And Garrett Wilson, he hasn't even had the season that many predicted coming into the year. They have a non-existent running game. Breece Hall has been I remember coming into the year, many people thought he was going to be one of the best fantasy players coming into the year. So I don't think you play fantasy football, but
no, but I know there's a lot to do with leagues and stuff like that. I know I have certain family members that are huge into that.
Yeah, he only averages 3 yards per attempt, and then he's averaging, and then years prior he was averaging over 4.5 yards per attempt. So yeah, he's been non-existent this year. He's been a disappointment. But here's Aaron Rodgers on what the Jets have to do going forward and taking accountability with the organization.
Well, I think we need to do everything we can to maximize this opportunity. You know, the idea of manifestation involves attention and intention, and then a word that goes along with that is accountability. You know, we need to be accountable to each other. When something like this happens, it's a reset for everybody. When you make a change on the offense, it's a mirror that's held up for all of us who played, and we all feel terrible about the opportunity that we had, that we squandered, that led to Robert getting fired and Hack getting demoted. I play better. This doesn't happen. We play better on offense. This doesn't happen. So I think it puts a spotlight on us, and now it's on us to do this. You know, we need to be accountable to each other, and we got to raise the level of our play to the standard that we set during training camp.
When's the first whiff of Saleh's removal that you got? Like, when did you first get? When did it?
So yes, that was Aaron Rodgers on what the Jets need to do going forward, and taking accountability what the team needs to do. And their schedule's kind of tough. Their next few games, they got the Bills on Monday night. They have the Steelers next Sunday. They have the Patriots. Patriots should be an easy win for them. If they don't get that win, it's going to look pretty bad. And then got the Texans. So 3 of the next 4 games are going to be really tough against playoff caliber opponents and teams that are trying to win a Super Bowl. So it's not going to be easy road going forward. And now there's no more scapegoat.
There's no. The only thing they would, if they are in trouble, basically, the only thing that's to blame is basically the organization itself.
Yep.
And the changes that need to happen until then, basically.
Yeah. And they're trying to end a 13-year playoff drought, which is the longest active drought in the NFL right now. So they're trying not to make it 14 years. We'll see if they can turn things around, but it's going to be a very tough schedule going ahead. Listen to the DJ Sports here on WRCR Radio. We're going to take a quick break. Coming back, I'm going to give my thoughts on the NBA 2024-25 annual GM survey, on my reactions to some of the things the GMs had predicting going into the season. Listen to DJ Sports here on WRCR Radio, and we'll be right back. Yes, you're back here on WRCR Radio, here in Gardenville, New York. We're your host, DJ Hamilton, here at the DJ Sports Show. Now we're going to get into some basketball, my favorite sport. Right around the corner, my favorite league's about to start, the NBA, on October 22nd. Got the annual 2024-25 NBA GM survey that recently came out, and I had a few thoughts. So the Celtics are the overwhelming favorite to repeat as champions, 83% of the vote, and I think that's pretty high, honestly. Everybody's really high on them. I think they're the most disrespected champion of any team I've seen coming into this year, because those of you who don't know or don't follow basketball, Jaylen Brown won Finals MVP, and he wasn't elected to join the Olympic team this year. When Kawhi Leonard was injured and he said, I'm not going to the Olympics anymore, and there was an open spot, they elected to have Derek White, who I think is a solid player, great role player, but you're not going to invite who's an all-star forward, one of the top two players, if not, some people think the best player on the team with the Boston Celtics as a member of the Olympic team. Come on, man. Come on. And I know he took that personally. Jason Tatum, Steve Kerr playing you sporadically in the Olympics. You're the champion. You're one of the 10 best players, 8 best players in the world, and you tell me you can't find me any minutes? I'm taking that personally. They got a chip on their shoulder this year, man. I think they're going to have a chip on the shoulder more than any other past reigning champion that I've seen probably in NBA history. Like, I've never seen a reigning defending champion this disrespected. So I think that was one of my biggest reactions. And they had Porzingis who's going to be out until around Christmas time. So I want to see how they play without Porzingis, but because I think they're going to lack a little bit of size. They might get beat up on the inside a little bit. But they still have Horford there, but he's at an advanced stage of his career. He still looks really good. So we'll see if he can continue to do that until Porzingis comes back into the starting lineup, comes back healthy. But they have Tatum, Holiday's back. All the guys are back for another year. And I think, in my opinion, they're my favorites to come out the East. I know people want to say the Knicks, Carltown, stuff like that, but nah, I think the Celtics come out. Thunder came in second. I think they're going to be great. They're the favorite to come out the West, earn the top seed in the West. They've added Alex Caruso, all defensive type guard who has championship pedigree, won with the Lakers, and he is going to bring that veteran presence in the locker room for these young cats like Shea, Jaden Williams, Chet Holmgren. They added size as well. Isaiah Hartenstein, who played for the Knicks last year, which I think is a big loss for the Knicks. He gives them more size, a lob threat, a shot blocking, big alongside Chet. Chet doesn't have to play the 5 anymore because he's too skinny. I think he's going to get beat up. And I think this is great for the Thunder, too, because they lacked rebound. That's one thing they were weak at last year, and it showed in that playoff series against the Dallas Mavericks. Now they have Hartenstein, who can rebound at a high level, block shots, and can also be a lob threat. I think they have no weaknesses on their team now and really go for that title to win their first championship as the Thunder, not the Sonics, as the Thunder in franchise history. So I think that was a great pickup for the Thunder. They're my favorites to come out the West. If you guys listen to my Western Conference preview podcast, what I did with Dylan, Phil, and Armani, that's what I had. I had the Thunder coming out. Shea's favorite to win MVP. He came second last year in the voting behind Jokic. Luka came in third. Shea, I think, man, he makes scoring look so easy, simple, and he doesn't look like he's breaking a sweat when he's out there crossing defenders up, getting to the rim, and he's just slippery with it. He has an unorthodox type of play, and I think he doesn't say much, but he just gets a lot done on the court. And he's a solid defender, led the league in steals last year, and he's very efficient. So I know Jokic won his third MVP. I don't think Denver's going to be as good this year. They lost KCP. But having Shea now, you have these added pieces. I think Shea's going to get his rightful respect now, and he's going to win. I think my favorite to win MVP is going to be Shea, Giannis. I think those are probably, and Luka. Those are my 3 top MVP candidates. Victor Wembanyama voted top defensive player and franchise player to build around. He got 77% of the vote for player to build around. And honestly, I know Jokic and Shea got 10% of the votes separately as well. Who else would you want to build around? Considering his age, potential, I don't think there's anybody else you want to build around. He's 20 years old. He's not even legal to drink in the U.S. yet. He led the league in blocks, all defensive first team last year, second in defensive player of the year voting. He's a favorite to win defensive player of the year. He's the best defender in the league by a wide margin, as the survey shows. And just the way he impacts the game on both ends. He has a real point guard now, Chris Paul, who's going to set him up for easier shots at the rim. because that's one thing that frustrated me last year. They didn't find him, throw the ball up there, let him get it. Chris Paul now played with Lob City, played with DeAndre and Blake Griffin. Now he has a taller guy who's even better than both those guys. Oh, it's going to be a field day all day. So I expect this to be a great year. I expect the Spurs to make the play-in and possibly a low-end playoff spot. So, yeah, those are some of my reactions. I know they said Luka is the hardest guy to strategize against. Steph Curry also received votes and stuff like that. Luka, jumbo-sized playmaker, coming off the finals loss. I know he's going to be extra motivated. I know he's going to be extra hungry now that he has a taste of what it takes to get there. I know he wants to come out on the other end of the spectrum and win a championship. So, yeah, those are my takeaways from some of the NBA GM survey reaction.